I'm going to start this off with a question. Which side-by-side would you buy? A Pro R or would you buy a Maverick R? I'm going to go through the nitty-gritty of why I like this one, why I like this one, also why I hate this one, and also why I hate this one. Number one and number two, why I love this one. It's so reliable. Why I hate this one. It has a belt. Why I love this one. It is freaking impressive, especially at the dunes, and you all know I love to run the dunes. Why I hate this one is it's unreliable. So pick your poison. They both have a ton of goods and they both have a ton of bads. After owning both of them for 8 months plus, obviously this thing a lot longer than 8 months, but this one about 8 months roughly. So we put some decent miles on each one of them and we've tested and figured out what we like about each one. We're gonna go over the good, the bad, and the ugly of both of these cars. Or side-by-sides, UTVs, whatever you wanna call them. It's got a 4-cylinder in it, I'll call it a car and bug you. But the Mav R, we'll start with the goods with this one. The thing in the dunes, specifically as you can see today, I have my paddles on. There is not another side-by-side out there that's stock that is better than this in the dunes. The thing is just unbelievable in the dunes. It is, I mean, you practically have to try to roll the car to roll the car. Like I have put it in some stuff that's like, wow, it just handles it. So when the dunes come, I love this thing. But when the dunes come, sometimes I have issues and then I don't love it. So it's one of those deals where I feel like I pretty much have to bring a second car in case this breaks down almost. It's a beast in the dunes. It's impressive. Now in the dirt, it's impressive also in the dirt. The only thing I would say that's negative about it is it does have a wider stance to it. And so in the 2 tracks, it's a little bit wide. You get a little bit rougher. It's a little bit rougher of a car than the Pro R is. In the 2 tracks, in the really rough stuff, I feel like the Pro R handles it a little bit better. Both of them have your live valves, so both of them have great shocks and great suspension. Both of them got aftermarket springs. This one's even got MTS on the valving. So I mean, we've done a lot to the suspension here. Where we live, it's very high-paced, fast-paced area, really rough terrain but fast-paced. So you need everything you can get out of suspension, and you also want all the horsepower and power you can get. So I will say a couple things about this car. The things I like about it is the no belt life. It is amazing. I've never smoked a belt. I don't know why. I just never have in this car. I love the fact that I have no belt with this side-by-side. But I would say you do get a lot more rear end kick. It's the standard Can-Am style. You get rear end kick. Can you fix that? Can you make it better? Yes, MTS has made it better. But does it kick more in the rear end than my Pro R does? For sure, it definitely does. Even though we fine-tuned and tried to make it even better, it still kicks rear more than my Pro R does. As far as the dash and the screen goes, this would not be the model. After buying this, I will say my regret is actually buying this model. If I were to buy a model, it wouldn't have the smart shocks. Most of the people that are having issues with the new Maverick R are guys that got smart shocks. Seems like that red one, everyone I've talked to that's owned the red one, which doesn't have the smart shocks, it's 15-inch wheels. That one, everyone has had good luck with that car, and I don't know if this just happen chance or what, but got a lot of friends that have had all of these Maverick R's, and very few of them actually had any issues besides me. So I don't want to say Maverick R's suck and every one of them's going to break, because they're not all of them. But we are running into more people having issues with this Maverick R than like my Pro R over here is. But the red one, buy the red one. If I were to do it all over again, I would buy the red one.
Because of the inside? You were talking about dash and stuff.
Yeah, because the whole reason I'd buy the red one is because the inside doesn't have the dash. The dash and all the smart stuff to this car isn't that great. I'm not overly pleased over the top with the whole smart thing of this car, and seems to have more issues. They don't want to communicate. I'm having issues with my 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive wanting to go into 2 and 4. So that's kind of, I've got a laundry list of little issues and just been kind of consistent with that. So that's the car is a beast at the end of the day. If you give me these two, give me the keys, what one am I driving? 9 times out of 10, I'm driving this one. But because of the issues, I'm driving this one 9 times out of 10 because this one's broke down. I've got a hotter lap on the track with that one, and that's probably because I've been able to do a ton more laps on the track with that one, because I keep wanting to go to the track with this one and then I'm broken. Right now I don't have 4-wheel drive working correctly. So that's my biggest slight on this car. Impressive machine. It's an impressive machine. You just get the rear end kick. That's my big thing that I'm not a fan of. It bottoms out easier. You get rear end kick. It's kind of got the normal habits of a Can-Am. This now, on the other hand, Old Faithful has been reliable. It has been so reliable. I've beat on it for 2.5 years. I've put it in the corner of the garage while that thing's running, or anything else that I have had or owned. This always gets kicked to the corner as if it sucks, and it's just an impressive car. At the end of the day, as you all know already, I have stepped my game up and we've went to something different. That's the exact same thing, but more power and a longer wheelbase. And the reason I went from the 2-seat to the 4-seat is because my rear end, I just had a heck of a time out here, the dirt, the rocks, everything. My rear end's always wanting to kick around. It's just hard to keep the rear end right behind me the whole time. So with that 4-seat, I'm able to keep the rear end behind me more. But now I do have a turbo, so it's wanting to kick out, but I'm also going a ton faster. And also having that entire long limo of a car, I can also handle some of the G-outs better. Some of the goods that I love about the Pro R. One is just the way it handles, the way it takes everything. The braking on this thing is impressive. I haven't drove another side-by-side that has the same amount of speed and power and can brake as good as this thing. Also, I do have the Dynamics suspension on this, and we do have aftermarket springs on it. But the red button has been a lifesaver. It's saved my back probably a million times at this point. I do live on it, but it's amazing. It's a great setup. Some of the things I don't like about it is the fact that right behind me is a belt, and I have blown belts. But not that many. It's just when you mess up and you don't know what you're doing, like if you go to a rock crawling spot and you should be in low and I'm in high. I've smoked some of the belts doing that, or also just railing on the car. Just doing hard stuff on it. It goes through belts, but not bad. A lot better than all the other side-by-sides. Also, when I'm sitting in it, I will say this. I do like when I'm sitting in the side-by-side in the Pro R, I actually feel like I can see things a little bit better than the way it sits me. I can see things better than I can in the Maverick R. So there's one thing I like about it a lot. I don't like the fact that this, I have to jam in all the time. The dash, the ride command is just, it's impressive. It's a great setup. Maverick R, Can-Am, they tried to do the whole dash thing and they didn't succeed like Polaris did with their whole ride command. The whole ride command thing is an amazing setup. It's a great out-of-the-box setup. All your drive modes, a lot of good little perks to this car. I like it a lot, I really do. As you can tell, I bought another one. Just bought it in a 4-seat, so for one, the family can come with me. 2, I can handle some of more of the G-outs and I can keep the rear end behind me a little bit better. I do have a little bit of an issue keeping the rear end behind me, and I'm always fighting that, trying to get the rear end straight behind me and not to the side of me. But it's just been an amazing side-by-side. Never rolled it. It's just been awesome. I've put a lot of miles and a lot of time behind the wheel on this, and it's been great. I will say these tires do suck. I put these on just so I could have some traction at the track and throw down and have the fastest lap on the track. And I mean, Max Gordon's gone out there and I'm running with his time. So it's an impressive car because I'm not as good of a driver as Max. So that's why I know this is impressive. I will say this thing, I just love driving this thing. It's impressive. It handles everything. Maverick R, the things I love about it is just the fact that it's so fast. You can get up to high speed so quick. I feel like that thing really falls on its face after about 70. This thing doesn't fall on its face till about 90. It's an impressive side-by-side. You can come around the corner so fast, and it's you almost have to try to roll it, or you just have to get really unlucky and get in a bad rut. But the thing is impressive. In the dunes, it's the game-winning side-by-side when it comes to the dunes. In a stock form against stock to stock, it's a beast. I have put that thing so sideways everywhere, on big hills, everywhere, come down hills and go only like halfway down and turned around and went back up them. I didn't have to worry about my belt getting fried from it because it has no belt. I love the no belt life. One thing I don't love about it This winch is broken, but that's because I rolled it. I did roll this one. But my belly pan has, my skid plate has, whatever, if you want to call it a skid plate, but that has ripped underneath of it 2 or 3 times. We've had to buckle it back up. She's had a lot of little issues, It's hard to stand behind something when you're having a ton of little issues. I've put less miles on this than I should have, just because I keep driving the Pro R, even though I put it in the back corner and say whatever, because I want to drive this. I would rather, when I get in this thing, I'm always just like giddy. It is, after like 5 minutes in it, I'm like, man, this thing's amazing. It can drive. Just get the red model, don't get the Smart Shocks, in my opinion. This is my opinion. Get whatever you want though. It's a Can-Am, so you just get rear end kick. Do you get a ton after you do MTS? No. So if you do want a discount on MTS, we do have it on our website, 10% off on MTS, all MTS parts. And we do have MTS done to it, and it's made it a ton better. It's made it a lot firmer, so we're not bottoming out. I mean, I was bottoming out the first day at the dunes with it, so I had to do MTS to it immediately, and it made it a ton better. I will say, I do have an RPM exhaust on this thing. It goes from sounding like garbage to now it just sounds like a beast. I really do love it. That exhaust is awesome. Yeah. Exhaust that we already have with our Pro R. This thing, I do have an RPM exhaust on this, and you all know I have an RPM exhaust on this because the Pro R without a turbo, that thing is insanely loud. But it's awesome too. I've really done very, very little to this car. I've done very little to it. I've kind of kept it pretty dang stock. All we did was the RPM exhaust with the header and then some bumpers and some stuff to protect it. Because as you all know, she's hit a few things here and there. We got tire marks here. I also got tire marks on the side of that one too. Also with the Maverick R, rock knockers are a must. I would say that is a must with this side-by-side with the Can-Am. These kind of come with their own little ones, which has helped a lot as far as rocks getting in your wheels and breaking your wheel or breaking other things. If you have questions, feel free to put in the comments and ask what I think about this or that. At the end of the day, these two are the best cars out there. It's just, if you can get this thing reliable, it's an amazing beast. But this is a reliable side-by-side, and that's why I've gone and just put a big turbo on it with Pro EFI. I mean, their setup is just amazing. It sets it up to where you can go rock crawling, duning, mudding. I mean, I've watched him go mudding and everything. I haven't taken mine mudding yet. That's too princessy right now, but I will eventually. But the Pro R is just a beast. It handles so much, and you can throw these massive amount of, I mean, LaRue was the first one that I actually really hung out with and saw them throwing huge turbos on, and I'm like, man, if they can do that to that motor and it still be alive, I was impressed. And that's where I was like, okay, I'm fine kind of putting a turbo on it. Because when everyone started putting turbos on the Pro Rs, I was like, I want to see how they hold up before we throw a turbo on it and start blowing them up, you know? But when I saw that they're putting these massive turbos on these Pro Rs, and they're holding up to it, I was like, okay, we can go into that and we can start doing that. And so I did Pro EFI, and a lot of the reason I did it was just because the whole standalone system where I can stage 1, a stage 2, a stage 3, I can run 91 one day, E85 an hour later, you know, I got an extra fuel tank from RPM. It's just an amazing side-by-side. So it's a beast, but these two are awesome. This thing is a beast, and this is a beast, but this is reliable, and I can't stand unreliable cars. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions on what to buy or what side-by-side you like best or this or that, feel free to reach out. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for subscribing.